Let's take a closer look at the Black Series Gaming Greats Cal Kestis figure from the upcoming video game Jedi Survivor. Varykino, living the Star Wars life. Hello there, and welcome back to the Varykino YouTube channel. Today I have a Black Series unboxing from the classic Hasbro 6-inch line. This is our first plastic-free packaging unboxing. So as you can see, we don't have the window for this box anymore. So I'm kind of curious to see how they package these ones and whether the figure inside is going to live up to expectations. This is sort of a controversial move by Hasbro. I certainly know that I miss the plastic window from these packaging. We've still got the fabulous sort of artwork down the side, but there's less of an incentive to keep them boxed. We've still got quite a few of our Black Series in their original packaging, but this one, if we want to enjoy the figure, we're going to have to take it out. So I thought this one would be a fun place to start. This is Cal Kestis from the upcoming video game Star Wars Jedi Survivor. It's quite fun to see merchandise for a video game coming out before the game has. Obviously, we can sort of see his outfit in the trailers and whatnot, so it's not really spoilery, but it's just interesting to see because these days Disney and Hasbro seem to be a little bit slower about getting merchandise out for upcoming items. So before I get stuck in and start opening this one up, let's take a closer look at the packaging. So it's still kind of very much the same size and style as the windowed ones, but we've just got this flat cardboard panel at the front. We have a shiny silver Gaming Greats sticker here on the front, which is fun, though for us locally, just this presence of the sticker means that the Black Series figures seem to be about $10 to $20 more expensive, which is a little bit frustrating. Just because something's from a video game doesn't really mean that it deserves to be so much more expensive than action figures from other franchises. So that's a little bit of a grumble that we have certainly here locally. I don't know if that is the case elsewhere, but it is annoying because we do enjoy the Star Wars video games. We want to collect the figures from our favorite video games, but the price point does make it a little bit of a sore spot. So of course we're very excited for Jedi Survivor. The first game was really great. So of course we've got Cal Kestis here in his updated look. And we still have BD1 included, which I think is fabulous. You really can't have Cal without his droid there. And he has a lightsaber. So looking at the side, we can see that it has that plastic-free packaging. Quite a large box, you know, with all the different languages there. We have an image here of sort of the figure and what's included. We can see that it says 6-inch. Or 15.2 centimeters down the side, indicating the scale of the figure, because we can no longer see it because there's no window there. So at least it points out that this is a Black Series 6-inch figure and not a 3 3/4 inch figure there. On the back, we have a little bit of a bio there. For Cal Kestis, one of the last surviving members of the Jedi Order, Cal Kestis and his valiant droid companion BD1 openly resist the growing power and domination of the evil galactic empire. So not too much of a spoiler there, it's just sort of a very basic sort of description of the character, so that if you're not familiar with him, and are sort of a Black Series completionist, then he gives you a little bit of a bio there. I think it's really cute. We've got BD there, we've got him in a pose. We can see that he seems to have a blaster on the hip and his lightsaber. This does look like, it kind of looks like artwork of a figure, not a render, but it's a little hard to tell because it's always very glossy. Then we've got this fabulous art down the side and his name there. We can see that they are using this sort of deeper blue for this video game. We've got a cardboard hanger here up the top, which is interesting. Our local toy store puts these on shelves so these don't get damaged. The older versions had plastic hangers, so I don't know if that's going to be an ongoing issue for toy stores that hang these up, whether that's going to annoy people, and the standard sort of copyright stuff down the bottom. So I guess the time has come to open this one up and see what's inside and take a look at the figure for the first time. So I'm going to grab my scissors and I'll get stuck in. Okay. So I'm going to put the box out of the way so I can take a closer look at the figure. We can see that we've got a cardboard insert with these sort of cutouts to hold everything in place. Just going to pull this figure out, and we can see it's all wrapped up in tissue paper rather than plastic as indicated on the outside. Okay, so just going to pop that away. We've got a small little copyright thing, standard stuff. Okay, so first thing I noticed is that this tissue paper, it actually has the Gaming Greats logo printed along with the Hasbro Black Series as a repeating design on the tissue paper. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting plain white, so that's kind of fun. Not exactly the sort of thing that was going to necessitate the price increase, but yeah, if you want to keep that, that's kind of fun. And then we have our figure here. So, standard sort of Black Series in terms of articulation and scale. Looking pretty good. I know that the windowless boxes means that you can't check paint and any kind of other possible areas for flaws. So I'll take a closer look at him in a minute. I'm just going to open up the other pieces here. So this one's sort of a slightly more waxy paper. It's sealed, so I'm going to have to rip this one open. And we've got another little cardboard box. Okay, I think I might have to get some sellotape here to get him out. Okay, he's in a cute little box here. Keep him all safe. He's all kind of curled under. So we can see his little legs. He's got a fair amount of articulation there. I thought he might just be a bit more of a solid piece, but yeah, he's got quite a few joints, and his head has got articulation there. His antennae are sculpted as part of him, so I guess that's why they put him in a box, so these don't get bent or broken in transit. So now we've got the last little bit of accessories here. So this one's also sealed. Just going to have to rip into this one. It doesn't have a notch. So we have his lightsaber. And let's get in. And we have a blaster pistol. So I'll take a closer look at those in detail in a minute. Okay, so he's got quite a unique lightsaber. It's quite of a long hilt, and that's quite neat. Hopefully the camera focuses on that. It's a fairly standard sort of silver. It's got a little bit of weathering on that sort of textured segment there. So not too much that can go wrong with the paint job there. It's pretty standard. There is a sort of a loop at the end, which I guess is part of the hilt design, because you're not going to be able to hang this on it. I think it's interesting that this is a lot of times Jedi characters come with both a hilt and a lit bladed version of their lightsaber. This figure only comes with the one. Just a quick insert here. As I was packing up this figure after having finished filming, of course that's when I noticed that the lightsaber blade does come out of the hilt, so that explains why there isn't a separate hilt in this figure. So if you do want to pose him holding just the hilt, or perhaps put it on the belt, you've got that option. This has got a little notch there, and you can just sort of put it back in, and it works pretty well. So yeah, frustrated with myself that I didn't catch that the first time, but yes, so that's there if you like just the hilt on its own. And then we've got the silver blaster here. It's got a little bit brown sort of just brown detail there. Nice silver paint job, not too complicated. I'll have a look and see how that fits in his holster and in his hand. Okay, so we've got his holster, which is, it's actually a separate part. I don't know if it's really, it doesn't look like you can take this belt off, but it isn't actually sculpted onto his leg. This is actually like a separate part. You can actually see there's like a tiny gap, which light isn't really getting through, but yes, this is separately sculpted there, so that's kind of interesting. So that should It's a nice flat blaster, and that fits in there quite nicely. We'll see how well he might hold this. This is always a little bit of a tricky bit. Trying to see how well he will hold it. See if I can get his hand through the trigger there. Yep. He holds that reasonably well. I'm not going to spend a ton of time trying to get the posing just right, but I like seeing, sometimes it really feels like you're going to snap a finger off getting weapons into figures' hands, but he holds that fairly well. Okay, so I'm just going to take that out so I don't drop it. We'll see how well he holds his lightsaber. Okay, that was nice and easy, just slides in there. Again, not going to pose him, just nice and easy. Wasn't feeling like I was going to break fingers. They've got a little bit of flexibility to be able to hold things, which is nice. Sometimes they feel a bit rigid, and it really is a bit of a stress to get things in there for posing. So it looks like there is a notch. I don't really think it's supposed to do anything. There's like a notch there, which looks like it could possibly hold it. So one thing that I don't know if it's intended, there doesn't seem to be any kind of attachment points on his back. In the video game, BD tends to sit sort of on his shoulder or on his back. There doesn't look like there's any kind of way for me to pose it. There doesn't look like a peg or something like that, so I can click it on there in any way. The packaging seems to have BD positioned on the ground next to him, so I assume that is what this is supposed to be intended to do. So just going to see how well he stands up pretty well. Certainly squat down. I don't know how steady he will be if I raise his legs up. Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Wasn't sure how steady he would be for posing. It's pretty cute. He's got sort of movement at his sort of shoulders and this joint here, not at the ankles. I think that would be perhaps too much articulation. And his head has got a fair amount of movement. That feels like a ball joint. I can move him around, do some cute sort of poses there. His legs are actually ball joints too. I thought those only might be sort of just on one rotational plane, but yeah, I can sort of move them around to make them a little bit more of a wide-legged stance. So that's kind of fun. A little bit more articulation there than I thought. I can't move his antenna, as I mentioned before. This section here is all sort of sculpted as one piece. I can't take those antennae off. They are bendable, so you might want to watch any kind of breakage there. Flexible, but yeah, not completely unbreakable. Pretty good paint job on his face. Little black and silver details there. He's got some paint apps on his chest, stripes, blue section on the back, and some red detail down his legs. So overall, I think he's pretty cute. Really want a life-size BD one. I would absolutely love to have this little droid as a life-size statue in my house, but for now I'm just going to pop him there in the background. So let's take a look at Cal Kestis closer up. So he's got a lot of articulation points I can just see just at a glance. Classic shoulders. We have got articulation at the elbows, at the wrists. Same again on this side. Can do all the sort of classic movements here. And at the elbows and at the wrists. He's got articulation at the neck and around the jawline as well, so he's got a fair amount of movement there. Predominantly at the neck, I can see that sort of turning with him. His hair is sculpted separately and stuck on, which is kind of interesting because there's just a little bit more. I don't know how well I can show this on this camera. There's like a sort of a line where you can see that it's kind of glued down, which may bug some people, or perhaps they like the separation there. It's a little bit of a tighter fit on this side of his head than it is on this side, and you might be able to see that. There's just a little bit of a shadow on that side compared to this side. Not a deal breaker, but I feel like that could have had a tighter fit. But overall, I think the paint app on his face is pretty good with his eyes. And I really like the very subtle shading around his jawline to give that sort of stubble effect. I think that that's really quite nice. You can, hopefully that's reading well on camera. You can see it up under his jaw. That's really quite nice. Very, very subtle, but effective. We've got tidy paint app on the details on his arms, on his shoulder, and his blue flap here on his vest. His vest is, it looks like if you really took scissors to it, you could cut it off. It's a separate part over top of the shirt, which I was not expecting. You can see sort of like some of the chest, and if I pull it up, you can kind of see that it's over top of his torso. You can see that there's a belt under there, which makes me wonder if they've got other versions planned, where they've basically sculpted his undershirt and pants, and this is the vest version, and we might see another version later on. Moving down the body, if I just move his arms out of the way, as I tried to show, we've got a silver belt under there. This holster, which is attached separately, and to be honest, I can't actually see where the seam is, but it is floating separately. We've got upper thigh articulation as well as the standard hip articulation. Then at the knees are very stiff. They've got quite a tight click, but good there. You think you can hear that. And we've got some very tight articulation at the ankles, which I generally like them being tight, but at the same time, if they're not quite straight, it can be a bit of a fight to get them to pose nice and straight for you there. So we can see some of the articulation and sculpting there at the back. The paint job looks pretty tidy. It's not a complicated figure. My main concern was his face, because of course human figures just look a little bit odd. Sorry, I've bent his arm a bit funny there. They just look a bit odd if you don't get those face details right, but he looks pretty good. So I'll pose him with his lightsaber, see how well he stands up. Because, you know, the human figures, they've got to stand. So he looks generally pretty easy to stand up. I won't get too adventurous with the posing, but he stands up pretty well with his trusty BD there. I think that's a pretty good figure. Maybe not the most exciting, because it is, you know, we don't really know too much of the video game at this point. We don't know if this is a particularly significant outfit, his starting outfit, anything like that. I do hope to see more. And I know that there are some of the other droids and bad guys from the first video game that we could get so that he has a person to fight. But for now, I think he's pretty cool. I'm very, very excited about the video game coming out. It always seems such a long wait. I was so surprised to see this out already. I really like the sculpting of the shirt on the sleeve. That just looks really nice. The way it's kind of rolled up there at the elbows. I think that looks quite fun there. I think he's pretty good. It's a little bit of a shame that this isn't quite stuck down as tightly as it is here. But that's my main concern with this. The rest of the paint job looks pretty good. The sculpting is all there. Yeah, I think that that's pretty nice. So I guess that's my first experience with the sort of the blind windowless black series. I guess I'm going to be curious to run off and unbox a few others to see if they also have anything printed on the tissue paper, or whether they just decided to just make this one seem a little bit fancy so they could charge extra for it. But yeah, I'll take some closer-up photos of the details to put on the website shortly. But this has got me very excited for the video game. I can't wait. And this little guy is just so cute in that scale. I think this is a fabulous figure, and I'm very excited for the video game. So I hope you enjoyed this unboxing. Catch you in the next video, and may the Force be with you. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a like, check out our other videos, and subscribe for alerts about new uploads. Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.